Welcome to This Week in BJJ, the world's first and only live jiu-jitsu show. Brought to you by Zebra Mats, simply Z-Best, Q5 Labs, Stay Alpha, and Defense Soap, defend what you have built. And here's your host, Budo Jake.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of This Week in BJJ. I'm Budo Jake, and today we have two very special guests. It's November 1st, and the day after Halloween, we got Agazarm and Ottavia Bourdain.
Hi.
So everybody that watches the show regularly knows who AJ is. You just came back from a couple really nice tournaments. We're going to talk about those in a second. But for those of you that might not know Ottavia, which I bet a lot of you do, you're one of the most enthusiastic jiu-jitsu practitioners that I know. Always posting on social media, an author on Fightland, and also a lot of you might know her husband, who has one of the coolest shows on television, Parts Unknown.
Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain is her husband. So we're going to talk to you about all that stuff a little bit later. But first of all, why are you here today, Ottavia?
Well, I'm here because I'm going to compete at the Nogi Worlds tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is your first time to the West Coast to compete.
It is.
Are you feeling nervous about that?
I'm always nervous. Yeah, I mean,
Really?
It wouldn't be normal if I was, I think it's more
Anxious?
excitement.
Anxious.
It's a very thin line between being really nervous and really excited for me. Sometimes I'm like, wait, no, I'm not really nervous. I'm actually excited. But yeah, I mean, it's an emotional turmoil. It always is. But,
Nice. And which division and how many people are in that?
It's, I call it cripple masters because I have all these injuries, but it's actually masters lightweight. It's 6 people.
Blue belt, right?
Blue belt, yes.
All right. Looking forward to seeing that tomorrow. And AJ, you're also competing this weekend?
Yes, it's both Saturday and Sunday.
So you're going to do the Absolute on Saturday and your weight class on Sunday?
Absolute starts at 3 p.m. and then Saturday my division begins at 10:52
Nice.
a.m.
So let's take a step back. Yesterday was Halloween. Did you guys do anything?
I didn't. Actually, I was in the
Nothing at
sauna.
all. See, I flew here and
Right.
that's it.
So I live on a street that's almost pretty much everybody on the street is Vietnamese, except me, of course. And so turned on the lights, got all the candy set out, just waiting for the kids to come, and not a kid came. So
Oh,
I have lots of
man.
extra candy left over. I don't suppose
Save
either
it
of you.
for after the tournament.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I've been basically not eating eggs and cauliflowers and tuna for the past 3 weeks.
Really
Like-
cutting weight. Really?
Yes, because I was out with an injury for a while, so
Ah, okay.
I couldn't train as much as I wanted, and I didn't check my weight, and it was like, oh god. So yeah,
How much under are you than your normal weight?
I lost 10 pounds in the past month.
Wow.
So
You look good.
And AJ, you're competing so regularly now.
Yeah.
Are you still going up and down, or are you just maintaining a low weight?
You know, my walking around weight stays the same. It's been this way probably about the last 5-6 years. So it's been a regular cut, the same amount of pounds every single tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid the roller coaster of the weight because when that tends to happen, the more times that you do that, the more weight you gain after the fact, and the harder it is to lose the weight. So for you guys that are heavy competitors that are looking to lose some weight, it's really something that I encourage is to get that fine line where you can maintain both and a little bit of weight cut and still feel satisfied without having to drastically cut and then go all the way back up, because it really doesn't allow you to lose weight much easier the next time you want to cut weight.
So I want to talk about ADCC a little bit later in the show, but you just got back from Brazil.
Yeah.
And, new black belts are not supposed to be doing as well as you're doing. You've only been a black belt for 5 months, but you're traveling around the world, winning tournaments all over. You got first place at the Nogi Rio Open, second place in the Absolute.
Brazilian Nationals.
Brazilian Nationals, excuse me. Tell me a little bit about how the tournament went.
I was really excited to be there in Brazil especially after China. Just wind the clocks back a little bit because everybody had complimented me about the experience I had at ADCCs, and obviously my mentality is I didn't win it, so it wasn't really what I was looking for, but it was an awesome experience, and I had planned already to go right from China to Brazil to compete in the Brazilian Nationals. I had set some goals in the beginning of the year that I wanted to achieve, and competing in the Brazilian Nationals was one of them, of course. And going there, the competition was incredible. It's amazing atmosphere. Competing in the Tijuca Tennis Club, which if any of you guys have not, if you get the chance to travel there, I don't know, have you?
I've been to Gracie Barra in Baja. So.
Yeah. But there's the competition scene in Tijuca Tennis Club. It's just, I just, when I think about, you know, what a jiu-jitsu tournament would look like if I were starting out, it would be that atmosphere. Just people going crazy in the stands, you know, birds flying in the middle of the arena. Thankfully, none of them do any droppings on the mat while you're competing.
And plus, when you think about all the legendary matches that took place on those mats, you know, all Marcelo Garcia, Roger Gracie, Shanji, all those guys had all their first matches, big matches right there.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I thought about as well the first time I competed there for the Rio Open earlier in the year, was that my own professor was there competing many times before, and I thought that was really cool. You know, it's just, it was kind of, you know, the starting grounds, and it was amazing to be there competing. The level of competition is no joke, and I had some awesome matches.
Yeah, I remember after the American Nationals, which you won, you commented that you were happy that you were able to win the American Nationals title. Now this time, you took the Brazilian Nationals title. How do you feel? Do you feel like you stole that away from the Brazilians?
You know what? The Brazilians have been running the scene for a very long time, and I think it's really right now is where you start to see the rise of the Americans in the jiu-jitsu scene. And when I tell people that I went to go compete in Brazilian Nationals, a lot of them kind of raise their eyebrows and say, "How can you compete in Brazilian Nationals if you're American?" It's, you know, it's different than any other sport really, because it's an open. You know, anybody can register, of course. But going there and winning the Brazilian Nationals, my friend made a joke. He says, "AJ, now you're Brazilian. Now you can be considered Brazilian because you won Brazilian Nationals." They crack jokes every once in a while about that, but it was something that I really wanted to have under my belt, and I'm glad that it worked my way this time.
Cool. Well, it's great having you two on. Let's talk about the news now. So at the ADCC 2013, which was held in Beijing, Andre Galvao had an interesting little demonstration on sword defense. Let's take a look.
Hey guys, now we're gonna do like a video here, like self-defense, how to defend against a sword right there. Okay, Mr. Sir Kino Fernandez. Okay, he's gonna try to kill me with that sword. But you know, I'll show you guys how to do, and don't try to do this at your house. Okay, only San Diego, California. Atos Jiu-Jitsu. Atos Jiu-Jitsu.
All right, holster
Yes.
sword defense.
All right, yeah. Now let's say this is in the moment like he try to take the sword, grab. Okay, and then like here, then you kill the guy. Okay, you take the sword. Whoa. And then this is like from the Andre Galvão Master Series sequence, like how to defend like yourself against a guy with a sword like this on the streets. Okay, so next one you try to attack me like this. Okay. Okay, so that's the self-defense. Here's the say Andre Galvão.
Thanks, Andre, for that. Next up is our good buddy Majid Hage. He competed at the Abu Dhabi trials. First, he did the West Coast trials. He got second place, lost to Keenan Cornelius. Then he went to New York to do the East Coast trials, and the stars were lined up. He got first place. He's going to be going to Abu Dhabi. Let's take a look at his last match with, what's his name?
I didn't see it.
Well, I'll think about the name. Let's take a look. Here it is. Nice job, Majid. His opponent's name was Jonatas Novaes. I should have known that. I fought him before. He's a tough guy, great ref. But man, you guys watching at home might want to rewind that and watch that over and over again. What a fast baseball choke.
Yeah.
People not knowing what's going on, it would look like Jonatas was winning that match.
Surprise ending, right, for Majid?
For Majid, but but it's surprising, you know, when you got these guys like Majid who are so good at one particular technique, you would think their opponents would know what's going on.
I would figure it out.
But
Yeah.
But I think some people can get so good at one move that
they know all the counters.
Yep.
And it's just another move for their arsenal.
Right. Some people call it a gimmick, but Majid's got good jiu-jitsu. You've trained with him before.
Yeah.
He's good in all positions, but he just has that one move that's like...
Yeah.
If it works, why change it?
That's right. That's right. So ADCC 2013 was held in Beijing. AJ, you went. Ottavia, did you watch any of the broadcast?
I watched it. I watched it the first day. I got a little frustrated because, I had to buy 3 live stream and there was no commenting. I kept missing the finishes of my favorite fighters. I saw his match against Agazarm and I was very happy he won.
Thank you.
And it was. I don't know. I don't think the live stream was very well organized.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Now, I've been a big fan of ADCC for a long time. I love no-gi, and that's the best tournament in no-gi. And it was frustrating to see it just kind of fall apart in the live broadcast. A lot of times I couldn't even tell who was fighting because the resolution was so bad.
Yeah, the resolution was so bad. I was like, okay. And I was, my friend were texting me because, a lot of people could not afford to buy 3 different streams for 3 mats. So, and I was like, I think he won, but I'm not sure because I can't really make out the facial features.
Yeah.
So it was a bit frustrating,
Right. Of course, at Budo Videos, we do a lot of live broadcasts. And I don't want to bash anybody else. I want these other companies to do good broadcasts because live streams on the internet is a relatively new thing. And so the public's perception is sometimes that they're going to be bad quality. And we always put out a good quality broadcast. Whenever we're behind it, it's going to be good. And I want people's perceptions to be that it's going to be worth spending money on.
Right. Yeah, I understood their decision to want to put it in Beijing and have the event there to kind of, encompass the entire world for this awesome, incredible grappling tournament that's held only every 2 years. Like you said, I've been a big fan of the event for many years, and it was an awesome time being able to be there and compete in it this time. And but with it being that it was in China, you would think the number one concern was for the to have a strong media coverage, and it really just from obviously comments from you is. It's unfortunate that it was not as well as it coverage as it could have been, and I feel like it just does a disservice. I'm a big fan of the ADCC. I'm not by any means bashing the organization or talking bad. I think it's just one of those things that you wish it could have had the quality coverage that it needed for just the fans' sake, just for everybody to look and say, it's just. It heightens it, nonetheless.
When you watch the Worlds, you see the crowd full in the background. This time you're watching, it's like all you see is competitors sitting behind it. How was that competing at the highest level of no-gi grappling with nobody watching live?
Yeah, it's tough. I think one of those things that for me as an athlete, I love is the many people in the crowd. I love to feel the energy of the crowd and feel the energy of the cheers, regardless if it's for you or for someone else. It's definitely an awesome experience. But as it's jiu-jitsu is not as popular as popular as many of the other areas in the world in China. So maybe their decision to put it in Beijing was to just do that, to just spread it out a little bit. But it was tough, but it's not. One of those things when you're in the zone, you kind of just you learn to accept for whatever is given to you in that moment in time. And looking back on it, I just wish that I could even myself as a competitor go to the fights that I had and see some coverage on it, and I can't. And it's tough. As it's just an awesome competition, and it's one of those things that you want to have for you as an athlete, even past the event.
Yeah. Well, let's take a rundown of the results. In the men's divisions, Cobrinha beat Rafa Mendes in the under 66 kilos. And this is the guys that go back and forth. A lot of people wondered. Cobrinha started to lose when he opened up his academy. And a lot of people surmised that that's because he took less time to train and more time teaching. Right. So people wondered, is that going to happen with the Mendes brothers? And maybe it did. This is the first time that Cobrinha has won in a while against Mendes. And so I think that's put a little fire under Rafa, and I'm sure we'll see him again next time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's no stopping for him.
Under 77 kilos, Kron Gracie submitted Ottavio Souza. That was a match that was on the feet almost the whole time. Ottavio went for a double leg and fell right into a guillotine.
Did you watch that match live?
I did.
Did you see anything that was happening from the corner of Kron?
No, I didn't see, but I heard that Rickson was
Pretty vocal.
Pretty vocal, and doing his job as a coach to try to get under the skin of his son's opponent.
Yeah, it seemed like it worked as well. Kron submitted all his opponents in that division, and I think probably one of the highlight matches of the event was him versus Gary Tonin in the semifinals. And I feel bad, just as has competed with Gary and a friend of Gary, is he didn't have anyone in his corner. He didn't have anyone giving him the time of the match and letting him know how much time was left. And with a minute left, Kron was down 6-0, and it was one of those things that on Gary's, and he should know in his mind, I have this locked up, I'm going to win this match. There's nothing that can happen for me to be able to take that away, and at least I know that's what I think as a competitor. And I think that if he had somebody in his corner screaming, hey, Gary, there's only 30 seconds left, relax, stay in this position, hold this position, there's 5 seconds left. Mind you, that Kron got the submission in less than 5 seconds left in the match, and it's just one of those things that you just look at and you're like, how did that just happen?
We're going to take a look at that match in a moment.
Yeah.
But, that was amazing. Romulo Bahal beat Rafael Lovato Jr. in the under 88 kilos. Romulo looked great that weekend.
So great to see him win.
Yeah.
After a fourth attempt there, right?
I think
his
that's right.
fourth trip there.
Yeah. Going to be a new father very soon as well.
Yeah.
Joao Assis beat Dean Lister.
What a match.
Yeah, a heel hooker versus a heel hooker. And in the Open, Cyborg beat Buchecha. We're going to have Cyborg on the show in a little bit. But wow, here's a guy. Cyborg lost to Buchecha earlier in the weight class. And then he turns around and beats him in the Open. That's a pretty rare turnaround.
Yeah, and Buchecha and Cyborg are no strangers to each other. They've trained together back in Miami, and they've been around the scene for a very long time. And it was an exciting match in the finals. And big props to Cyborg for not taking the loss that he had in the division and then turning around and winning not just the match against Buchecha, but the entire absolute category. And that's amazing.
And winning 10-0
Yeah.
against the world champion. Amazing. In the super fights, there was 2 super fights. Andre Galvao beat Braulio Estima, which now they are both 2-2. Both have beat each other once in the gi, once in no gi. That was a pretty incredible match.
Intense, yeah.
And Mario Sperry defeated Fabio Gurgel. In the women's divisions, Michelle Nicolini won her division, and Gabby Garcia won hers. No surprise there.
Yeah.
So there's 4 things that I took away from this year's ADCC. The first one is, we already talked about Kron. Wow, what a performance. Defeating all 4 of his opponents by submission.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants to see.
Sneaky little guy.
Yeah. But he uses, pretty traditional jiu-jitsu. No barambolos, no inverted guard or anything like that. So now he says he's going to be out of jiu-jitsu for a while, going to transition to MMA.
Yeah, getting out while he's on top.
Yeah. We got a little clip of him versus my instructor, Ottavio Souza. Let's take a look. So I went to visit Kron about a week before he went to Beijing, and man, all his guys are good at guillotines. They practice that a lot. And
it was one of those things that is Kron's best tool in his arsenal, and it just, I felt like Ottavio just fell into that trap, and it was just a shame. But up until that moment, it was just only on the feet, and it was kind of like I was talking about Rickson. Pushing the pressure on Ottavio, and it seemed to have worked for Kron and Rickson. And but, it was just kind of weird to see that coming from maybe a coach that's coaching one of his buddies. But when you think about one of the icons of jiu-jitsu, the way he was talking in the corner, and it seemed really weird.
So the viewers might think we're being vague right now. Tell us exactly what happened.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're being vague.
In the middle of the match, it was full of pressure on top, and standing up, and Ottavio was backing up, and Kron's pushing the weight forward, and Rickson just spits out in the corner. He's, "Oh, referee, he's only backing up, putting pressure on Ottavio, which is a good tactic as a coach. But one of the surprising things that happened in the middle of the match that came from Rickson is he started making chicken noises, and I kid you not, if you guys did not see the match, this is 100% true. He started making actual chicken noises in the middle of the match. And I don't think you know, maybe from a person in the stands doing that, but it was hard to see that coming from Rickson, and it was.
So you're saying you don't expect those kind of tactics from a red and black belt?
Yeah.
Is that okay from Joe black belt?
I don't even think it's okay from anybody from the coaching seat. It just came as a shock. You know, maybe some, you know, you're at an MMA fight and it's some guy in the stand, some
right,
guy.
some drunk guy, yeah.
That's what you think about to relate that kind of comment to, but especially not Rickson, and especially not coming from his background. But you know, he's there for his kid, and he's supporting him. And there was a distinct moment in the match with him and Gary that I remember. I was in the corner watching as one of our guys was getting ready to go up, and it was a minute left in the match, and it was interesting to see Kron's behavior in that minute, because he was down 6-0, and I think any heavy competitor can appreciate that moment of just turnaround, because he looked to his dad, and he said, like, from what it looked like, he was asking his dad how much time was left, and his dad kind of said with despair, like, there's only a minute, like, chalking it up already as a loss. And it was just crazy to see just the flip and the eagerness and the drive that Kron had at that point in the match. And that was only the quarterfinals. You know, he then went on to submit 2 more people. So props to him. It's just, I didn't expect that from Rickson. I don't think anybody did.
Yep. Point number 3 that I got out of this one was how much wrestling there was. There's always going to be wrestling at ADCC, but you know, you've been training with the Church Boys down there, and Ottavia as well, Bushesha, Dean Lister, or I'm sorry, not Dean, but Joao Assis. So all these guys are training their wrestling. It seems like at a much more serious level than they were 2 years prior.
As opposed to, only IBJJF.
Right. So, you know, and I think that's cool, because, you know, the better stand-up you have, the more well-rounded you're going to be. But it did make for some long, drawn-out matches where we didn't get to see jiu-jitsu, and we saw some stand-up. Yeah,
for example, myself and DJ Jackson was really almost entirely 20 minutes on our feet. It was a battle. And it's one of those things that even... You know, I just going back and reflecting on the tournament, it was a lot of it had to deal with not just attacking from the feet, but was, you know, defensively attacking. And if you look, I was there, so I saw a lot of the matches, and it was just people's ability to defend the takedowns and the shots was incredible. You could tell that was more or less the focus of everybody's training, because in the IBJJF it's okay to pull guard, and it's not a -1 at that point. So. When you talk about just the wrestling aspect, it made a big difference, especially for the favorites of guard. You know, João, Miao, and the guys that really like to engage with the guard, and it pushes them to be competitive on their feet. And I think for me, it's second nature. For me, it's something that it's easy for me to just stay 20 minutes on my feet. It's a little tiring, but it was fun.
So I don't want to call it stalling. But, Ottavia, let me ask you this. Would you rather watch 2 guys that are equally skilled in 50-50, not going anywhere, or standing up?
Standing up.
Why is that?
For sure. Because at least there is some action, you know? And for me, I enjoy wrestling. You know, I just started a few months ago, and I can appreciate what's happening. But 50-50, it's just, for me, it is stalling, and definitely should be penalized.
It's almost like if you look from the fan that doesn't know jiu-jitsu, and they look to see people standing, they obviously know the objective there, as opposed to 2 people with their legs crossed and they go, what are they trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so one ADCC 2013 in the books.
The next one's going to be in Manaus, Brazil.
That's what they say, but they also said that this ADCC was going to be in Brazil. So you never really know until a couple months prior.
Have this one be in Brazil. Manaus is where the targeted location is going to be. I'd imagine it definitely turn around as opposed to the people in the stands in the last one.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. You know, hopefully I either get the invite back or am competing in the trials to win the trials, because it's the rule set for me is awesome. I love it. You know, it's my style, and it's competing against some of the highest level guys. Leo Vieira was his 9th time in the ADCC. 18 years math majors there. It's just incredible.
Wow. And what's the super fight going to be in 2015? It'll be Galvao and Cyborg.
Cyborg, yep.
That'll be interesting. Before we move on from ADCC, I want to take one last look at Gary Tonin, because he was very impressive. You've already mentioned him before. Some people might not know who he was. He competed in the brown belt kumite along with yourself. He's competed at a lot of IBJJF tournaments, but he looks sharp. We're going to look at a clip here. He fought a lot of bigger, tougher guys. Here he is with Kron. And AJ, you were talking about this match a little bit earlier. Gary was up 6-0.
Yeah, a very good lead, especially ADCC rules. And one thing that really stands out the most about Gary when I think of him as a competitor is his ability to defend himself in dangerous situations. Like Kron had him in a ridiculous armbar, and he powered out of it and ended up taking his back, and here he is up 6-0 with less than a minute to go. And I just, had he had someone in his corner, I think it would have been a different outcome.
Yeah. So he trains under Tom DeBlas, Renzo Gracie affiliate. Do you consider him a teammate?
Yeah, absolutely. We've trained together. We obviously competed together. Super nice guy, really, really humble, really competitive, and he loves the sport. He loves what he does, and it was great watching him out there competing, especially in the absolute. He gave Buchecha really run for his money. His very first match, it was only 2-0, and he had Buchecha in some interesting.
He had him in a heel hook at one point. Yeah.
I think had you been able to see the table on this shot, you'd see where the guy had his hand up for like 3, 2, and then he had the tap.
Wow.
Incredible.
Great job, Gary.
Most people don't know this. If you watched the event, there was you saw Gary Tonin fight Buchecha, lose, and then you saw Gary Tonin again in the absolute, and he fought Cyborg. And some people may not know the reason why is that Leo Vieira, Alliance guy, he had won his match and then was injured, and they needed somebody to step up, and Gary just jumped out of the stands and said, "I'll do it," and he ended up fighting Cyborg right after that. Another acai. Cheers.
That's pretty amazing for a smaller guy like Gary to fight Buchecha and then turn right around and fight Cyborg.
Yeah.
Wow. So Nogi Worlds is this weekend. Ottavia and AJ are both competing, as well as a ton of other tough guys. Of course, we wish you guys the very best tomorrow. But let me just run through a list of the guys that are competing. There's just a few of the names that you might recognize. Barata, who's known for his Barata Plata. Samir Chantry, Justin Rader, Barrett Yoshida, JT Torres, Clark Gracie, Majid Hage, Leandro Lowe, DJ Jackson, Eduardo Tellis, Kit Dale, and Rafael Lovato Jr. are all competing this weekend. Tons of other guys, too. I think over 1,200 competitors over 2 days. So that'll be a great event. The live broadcast is going to be on Sunday on IBJJFTV.com. So, Ottavia, you're competing at the Nogi Worlds. Do you prefer competing in the gi or without the gi?
It's different. I really don't have
the struggle
preference. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Some days, some weeks I just train gis, and then I'm like, I want to do no gi, and I just do no gi. I don't know. I think no gi is a little faster, a little more aggressive. So depends. But right now I'm happy to be competing no gi. Yes.
I like that attitude. I think they both balance each other very well.
And you also have a younger daughter who trains as well.
She trains, and she just announced that she wants to compete. She was with me at the European Nogis this past summer, and she didn't watch my matches, but she watched Igor Gracie, my coach, competing, and she's like, "Mom, I want to do that too." I was like, "Oh gosh," I can't imagine being in her corner. We were talking about Hickson and Kron, and it's like, oh god.
Talk about you being anxious for your fights.
Yeah.
Now imagine you before her fights.
Yeah, she's been training for a few months. She just got her 4th stripe on her white belt, and it's amazing how long she can train. She trains 2 hours a day.
Really?
Sometimes I'm
full
exhausted after an hour, and she does a private and she does a kids class, and she still has energy when she comes back on. So
how old is she?
She's 6.
Wow,
so I'm very proud of her.
Have you trained with her?
No, she doesn't want to train with me.
Really?
I mean, she likes to torture me, and she has this thing where she goes and rear naked choke everybody. But of course, But no, she doesn't. She only wants to train with her professor and the other kids. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
Know. Yeah, because I'm her mom,
I would think that if I were my mom or dad were competing or training, I'd be like, yeah, I want to go choke my dad.
No, she ambushes me all the time, but training, no, she doesn't want to do that.
So we've all seen pictures of your husband in a gi as well.
Yes.
How often do you get him in a gi?
It was a struggle to get him in a gi for the first time, but now, as much as he can, he wants to put himself in a gi. So he was bound the past 2 months because he couldn't. He was on location first in LA for a month and then London, but he trained actually once in LA with someone from Gracie Baja. He went to the studio, but he, when he's home, he wants to do it. So he's asking me to do it. So surprisingly, he seems to enjoy it, yeah. How
is that balancing with, I know, he loves his food, he loves his drink. Usually those two don't go together too well.
No, but, he learned, I think the first time he trained, he had like just a huge lunch and then he went training and he wanted to puke every 3 seconds and now he learned his lesson. So if he trains the day before, he says, he doesn't drink and, a light lunch.
Which is tough for an enthusiast like himself.
I know, yeah.
So obviously you are addicted, if I can base that upon your social media activity. Do you think your husband is going to get it as addicted as you are?
I think if he had the time, he would. For the longest time, I was talking to him about, my addiction and he just couldn't get it. But one of the first things he told me after his first training session was like, now I get it. Now I see what it is that you see in it and you want to go back for more and more and more and more and more. So I think when he's going to retire one day and he's going to stop traveling, 300 days a year, he's probably going to get into it and maybe addicted, yeah.
That'd be exciting to see him compete.
Yeah.
I talked to him about it. I was like, they have masters and seniors, and now they don't call this seniors anymore.
That actually brings us into our next topic.
But he said maybe. He said maybe. So yeah.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It would. So yeah, the Masters and Seniors divisions. Masters is 30 to 35. Seniors is over 35. Now, no longer is it called the Seniors divisions. They decided that too many of us, myself included, don't like the term senior. If you're going to Denny's for the discounted meal, you might call it the senior menu, but Masters is a much cooler.
Did you get a senior discount when you register?
No. I tried. I give them my IBGF card and they don't accept it. So now Masters is going to be called Masters 1, Senior 1 will be called Masters 2, Senior 2, Masters 3, and so on. So that will all take place next year.
Guys are doing anything to avoid the old category.
Right. So the BJJ Expo is coming up in just over a week. It's going to be on Saturday and Sunday of next weekend. And man, what a packed schedule that is going to be. If you can't make it live, make sure to check out the broadcast. There's going to be a ton of super fights. Let me just read through a list of some of these super fights that are going to take place. Jake Shields versus Leandro Lo. A lot of people are writing off Jake Shields. They're saying, he's an MMA guy.
How can you write him off on his last fight with Damian Maia? He had some pretty incredible grappling.
Yeah.
One of the best black belts in the sport right now.
Yep. I think people think, he's just an MMA guy. He doesn't focus exclusively on jiu-jitsu. He's going to lose. But I think it'd be silly to write him off so quickly.
Yeah.
Of course, Leandro's awesome, but I think that'll be a good fight.
Yeah.
And John Fitch versus Paulo Miao, another MMA guy versus jiu-jitsu guy. And I think this is cool. They're coming up with matches that you wouldn't normally see in an IBJJF tournament.
Right.
True, yeah.
Jeff Glover versus Bruno Malfacini. That's going to be an amazing match. Glover is always a guy who's not a black belt world champion, but he proved at the last Expo that he's right up there. He beat Caio.
Yeah, that was a pretty incredible match.
Samuel Braga is going to take on Joao Miao. So far, the only gi match. This is going to be Berimbolo versus Berimbolo.
Mm-hmm.
Old school Berimbolo versus new school.
That's right. We'll see which one's better.
Which one will prevail?
Lucas Leitch is going to take on Keenan Cornelius. And Caio Terra is going to take on Nam Fan. With that being said, let's take a look at a preview clip of Caio versus Nam.
Gaspari Nutrition presents the second annual World Jiu-Jitsu Expo.
Yeah, I really like the super fight formats, because it gives you a chance of studying someone, when you study someone, you actually learn a lot, you learn a lot about defenses, attacks. I really like doing the super fight, especially at Expo, the biggest jiu-jitsu event in the world.
For sure, when you fight a jiu-jitsu person, it's pure jiu-jitsu. So of course their focus is jiu-jitsu, and usually they're more slick on the ground, or definitely more technical. But I think we fight an MMA guy, maybe not as technical, but we can push it. We have great gas.
Competing against MMA guys is so much different, and people always think like it's so easy. You know, it's gonna be easy for Kyle. It's gonna be easy for Miao. It's gonna be easy for this guy or that guy. I don't think Miao is gonna have an easy time, and I'm not preparing myself to have an easy time. You know, the MMA guys have a completely different style.
I'm probably not as technical as him, I would say, but if you can submit me, I can definitely push Cal on the gas. You know, I just try to keep on do my best to pass the guard, attack submissions with him.
I'm really trying to work on my takedowns because Nam is a very good wrestler, judo black belt, as well as jiu-jitsu black belt. So, I know that his takedowns are pretty good.
I feel like I'm a big underdog in this fight, and I have nothing to lose. So I'm just gonna go out there, balls to the wall, and just try to rip his neck off.
I'm very prepared that Nem is gonna be very aggressive. He's gonna try to submit me. He's not gonna worry about points. But I'm not gonna play points with him either. I'm gonna go for the submission. And let's see who's gonna submit the other.
Please, on November 9th, I'll be fighting Calterra. And for all the live broadcasts, please go to BudoVideos.com.
I don't think anyone should miss the super fights at the Expo. If you miss, you're gonna miss history.
Broadcasting live November 9th and 10th, exclusively at BudoVideos.com. For ticketing information, please visit WorldJiu-JitsuExpo.com. Fight card and schedule subject to change.
So in addition to all those super fights, there's also going to be a brown belt GP, 16-man tournament, all handpicked by Renzo Gracie. Also, a black belt GP with 16 guys handpicked. The brown belts have already all been picked. Black belts, only 8 of the 16 have been picked. So if there's any black belts out there and you want to compete, send an email to Renzo or find him on Twitter. Send him your resume, and hopefully you'll get in there. We're going to do a full 2-day broadcast from 10 a.m. both days, so it's going to be a big weekend for Jiu-Jitsu. Mark your calendars. There's also going to be a lot of seminars if you're there attending live. Mendes Brothers, Braulio, Galvao, Roger Gracie, Lyoto Machida. The list is too long to mention, but it's going to be a great event. There's also going to be an award show that I'm going to host alongside with Renzo, giving out awards to a lot of Jiu-Jitsu guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, there's also an open tournament, so anybody can join for this first ever BJJ Expo Open Tournament.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be there. I'm going to attend a few seminars.
The last year's was amazing. I can imagine. Even now, it's they probably already learned from a number of things from the event last year. It looks like it's going to be quite an event.
Yeah. So, are you going to go too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Ottavia, you say you're going to do the seminars. How much can you learn from taking a seminar?
It really depends. I went to some seminars where I learned just one technique that was really game-changing, and I just adopted it, stole it, and used it. And I went to some seminars where, they didn't learn anything. So, it's a hit or miss. And but I'll go anyway for the fun, just a roll with meeting new people. Why not?
That's a good point, though. Sometimes it's something so small that changes everything.
Yeah.
And you guys might both learn the same thing, and it might work for you, it might not work for you.
Right.
Yeah.
How long have you been training?
2 years, 2 months.
Awesome. And what brought you to training? How did you start it?
It was just I've been doing Muay Thai for years, and one of my Muay Thai instructor, a couple of them were actually student of Renzo Gracie. One was a black belt, one was a blue belt at the time, and they started playing with me and we're like, oh, let's do some grappling. I was like, when you don't know what it is, it's like, okay. Yeah. So, but we started doing a little bit, and I was like, okay. And they said, why don't you try go to Renzo and take a free class, see if you like it. If you don't like it, nothing to lose. And I went and I took a free class and I never left. I don't know, something clicked. And at first I tried to do both Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu, but then jiu-jitsu just took over, you know, when you spend like 3-4 hours a day at the academy, you know, there was just no time for me to do anything else.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about your jiu-jitsu journey in just a moment. But next, we're going to have Cyborg up. We talked to him a couple days ago about his win at the ADCC and talked about training and fighting his teammate Buchecha. So let's cut to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Cyborg.
Hello guys, my name is Rafael Freitas, better known as a Barata, and today we're just gonna try to share with you guys everything about the Barato Plata. So you guys will be able to understand a little bit better now, watch the techniques, and I hope you guys enjoy.
He shake over there, I almost punch his face now. I'm always starting getting angry now.
So I had a chance to sit down with Cyborg and talk to him about his amazing performance at the 2013 ADCC Championship, becoming absolute champ, defeating Buchecha 10-0. Let's take a look at the interview. So, Cyborg, you had the amazing accomplishment of winning the absolute division at the 2013 ADCC Championships in Beijing. Where does that rank in your overall grappling career?
Well, I think that's not only on my career, but on anyone's career. It's as big as you can get in jiu-jitsu, right? I faced that as a dream coming true. You know, I'm someone who worked really hard to to reach that point. You know, I'm 32 years old now. You know, I have been fighting on the black belt division for the last 10 years. And always aiming to to get on this spot. For me, the open class and the absolute title on the DCC it's amazing, man. It's really my dream coming true. In a form of a medal and a championship. I worked so hard to accomplish that. That title. And I just, I get really emotional when I get there, because only I know how much I had to work and how much I had to do to reach that point. I'm someone who made my whole way up to here by myself. I never had a big team behind me. I never had no one even to teach me jiu-jitsu. I learned my jiu-jitsu myself. I taught myself how to coach. I taught myself how to be a businessman, and to be able to after 10 years of hard work on a black belt, to accomplish such a great achievement, it's something really compensating for me.
Absolutely. And you mentioned your age, 32 years old. That's not old by most standards, but in jiu-jitsu, that's usually people are not in their prime at that age. What do you think allowed you to win the absolute division at 32 years of age?
Well, I think it's a bunch of things got together, right? First of all, it's the power of will. When you really work so hard to something, and when you really believe in your dreams, and you really fight for them, and you compromise yourself with something, this thing tend to come towards you. I have worked hard my whole life, and I always believed that I could be the best in the world, and I knew that I had the potential. It just I think for different people who work in a different way. I think for me it came in a perfect time, where I'm matured enough, to take this opportunity as it is. I worked really hard. I trained really hard for it. And I think that the experience of all of these years competing on the black belt division has given the right momentum just to go there and do it, you know. And when I saw myself in the open class of the ADCC this year, and man, truly like I wanted so much, and only I know how much I had to pass through to get there, you know, and everything was perfect, you know. Nobody even scored a point on me on this open class, and it was just like, you know, like I think the experience of all of these years of training helped me out a lot on this win.
There are some people out there that probably don't know what they are watching, but you have a history with Buchecha. You trained together, you've worked together, and some people out there are insinuating that the final match might not have been real. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, I feel for those people, you know, because people like this, you know, they don't really know how hard we had to work to, you know, to get there. You know, like I saw some comments. I think Caio Terra post something on his page. You know, too bad that he didn't even get invited to something like that. Because, you know, like something just to bring it up. You know, like how to say, you know, he wants to make a critic on something that's so special for some people. You know, I worked my whole life to get there. Yes, Buchecha is a good friend of mine. I mean, a very, very good friend of mine. I love that kid, and I respect him so much. We have trained together. I have helped him all a lot, and he has helped me too. But, you know, like the ADCC Open Class Final is something that everyone wants. You know, that's once in a lifetime opportunity that, you know, if especially for those who understand how big of accomplishment that is, would know that nobody would ever give such a great opportunity to nobody. You know, we are good friends. You know, we have trained together a lot. You know, but beyond that, you know, we respect each other, us fighters, and we never even talk about splitting money or anything. You know, like he knows I cheered for him. I was happy for him when he, you know, got his win on the weight division. You know, he beat me. You know, I think any one of us who could have got the gold, you know, truly I think that me losing in the first fight helped me out to understand better what would be the best strategy to use on the open class. But, you know, for those people who really think that, you know, we would do something like that or couldn't feel the true energy of that win for me, I can only say that, you know, that nobody would play that game, not an air. You know, I did give 100% of myself to that fight. Or even I'm still sick because like after I came back from China, because I gave 300% I have and finally I made it. You know, I worked my whole life to that moment, and you know, and especially beating Buchecha at 10-0 in a final of the open class was something that was, you know, to prove that I was really, you know, better on that day, and I really deserved that win, and you know, and it was a good. I thought it was a good thing to shut the mouth of like people like those ones telling that stuff, you know, that, you know, I came there and I proved that I deserved that spot more than anyone else. So
absolutely,
that's what it is, you know.
You know, it's rare to see two good friends like you and Buchecha fight. In IBJJF tournaments, closeouts are much more common. You didn't close out, you fought. How much did your previous training with Buchecha influence your strategy in that match?
Well, I trained with Buchecha. Last time we trained together was back in 2010. So this is 3 years ago. This is even before he won the both open class titles on the, you know, like it was before, you know, everything happened to him. You know, after that we didn't get to train. You know, he came here like after he won his first title, like 2 years ago, after he won his first open class title, he came here. We filmed a project together, and it was nice. You know, we always keep close. We always talking to each other, but like just like I've been so busy, and he has been so busy that we haven't had the time to get together as much anymore. And of course, you know, like he knows a lot of my game. I know a lot of his game. He has evolved so much, you know, during this couple of last years. Especially like he got lots bigger, experience-wise. he has got lots better as well, and that's something that influenced a lot. You see that I didn't play guard anytime in a fight. You know, I played top, I played takedowns. You know, I never played guard with him because I know so much of his game, and he didn't want to play guard with me as well. You know, when I took him down, he was trying to stand up. You know, because we know that whoever stays on top, we know so much each other's game that's hard to do something. You know, but on top, it gets different, right? I have evolved my guard passing game so much, and I think that, you know, that surely gave me a better advantage on a fight. And the takedowns as well, you know, I could hit him with some good takedowns, and you know, I tried to fight him the way I would fight myself, and it worked, you know, and that day was just a perfect day, man. You know, like Buchecha is someone who really deserves all his wins. You know, like he's a guy that, you know, has a pure heart. He's a guy that, you know, that he's always willing to help his friends. You know, he's a guy that, you know, like is passionate about jiu-jitsu and is really responsible with his career. You know, and someone that's I'm always really happy to cheer for. You know, I fought him twice last year. I fought him once last year at Abu Dhabi. Truly, it was the first time that we fought. I closed many divisions with him before when we used to train together. But last year was the first year that we actually met in competition again. We fought in Abu Dhabi Pro. This year, right? Yeah, it was this year in April. I fought with him, and it was the first time. It was a really tight match. I got to pass his guard. He took me down once, and he swept me once. And he got for the he beat me for the score of 4-3, and again, you know, he got to beat me on the weight division of ADCC, and I think, you know, that experience gave me the better reach to go there in the open class and to take the win from him.
So again, you accomplished the crowning achievement in no-gi grappling, winning the absolute division, but unfortunately, the event was held in China, where there was little to no crowd in the stands. How did that affect you, not having much crowd?
Well, I don't think it affects me. You know, I think the title, you know, of course, if there was a lot of people around, then it would be, you know, like it would be better, but not. I don't think it affects me in any way. You know, it was. I love competing at the ADCC. You know, like I love the rules of ADCC. Everybody always treats me so good in ADCC. You know, because of the rules, it helps me out a lot to my game as well. You know, doesn't let people stall a lot. You know, it makes you work all the time. You know, allows you to go to any kind of submissions, and I was really happy the way it was. You know, my dad always wanted me to fight in China, and looked like he predicted. You know, for a long time my dad gives me a hard time to go to compete in China, and when the ADCC finally was, you know, like they said that the ADCC was going to be in China, my dad was so happy. I said, I knew it. I know. I told you going to China, you would fight there. So now you're going to be the ADCC champion, and it did happen, you know. And I was really happy to go there and to do the things that my dad told me I would do. So I went there, I fought, you know, I had such a great time there, and I think things happened the way they're supposed to happen, you know. So it was written already that I would do it, and I did it.
And you came back with a lot more than you left with. Not only your gold medal, ADCC announced that they paid $40,000 for the absolute champion. Can I ask what you did or plan to do with the money?
Well, I don't really know yet. You know, I don't know yet. I might invest on my businesses, my gyms. I don't know. I have many plans. You know, I have many things on my hands right now. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do with the money yet. But for sure, I'm gonna invest in something that we're gonna be good.
Speaking of which, what are your future goals? What's next for you?
Well, right now I just wanna, you know, like having my, you know, putting everything together. You know, I wanna give back to the jiu-jitsu community. You know, as much as possible, Jake. You know, it was always a dream for me to conquer the ADCC. You know, like I came from this place called Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul in Brazil, a place where had no jiu-jitsu, man. And conquering this title means a lot more than only winning the ADCC for me. You know, like it means that anyone who really believe on their dreams, you know, and fight for it for real, you know, is willing to bleed for their dreams. The dreams are possible. You know, it was really far from my hands to conquer this. You know, because I came from where I came, and I never had like real structure to make me who I am today. You know, and I made it. You know, so I want to be able to inspire people. You know, I want to be able to inspire more people into training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I want more people to get to know our art. I want to help the ones, you know, who doesn't have opportunity to have like I had, and you know, to reach their dreams and make their lives possible. You know, with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know, so I think that's my goal right now. You know, help who is around me. You know, build up my businesses. You know, and of course keep living the lifestyle that I live today. You know, I just feel so gifted. You know, like whoever knows me knows that, you know, I was never someone who really thought I don't really think I'm any star or anything, you know, like I'm a regular people who's blessed enough to live from what I love to do, and I'm gifted, man. I'm gifted to travel around the world teaching Jiu-Jitsu, to train Jiu-Jitsu every day, to make friends all over the place, you know what I mean, to, you know, like to love and be loved, man. So like this, you know, like having the recognition from what you love to do, I think that's the most precious things in life, you know. So that's the only thing I want to do is keep living the lifestyle of Jiu-Jitsu, and you know, and spread the word as much as I can, brother.
Sounds great. Any last comments before we let you go?
No, I just want to thank all of my fans, friends, my family, man, my dad, and you know, everybody who really, you know, was there for me, who always believed in me and supported me. I want to thank Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian, and I want to thank Jesus Christ for always watching up for me. I have a tattoo here on my arm in the middle of the cyborg saying that I'm the strength and courage of God, and you know, and I'm a believer that, you know, you gotta have faith, you gotta have God, and you know, whatever your religion is, you know, like you gotta understand that there is someone above you. You know, I still think I'm nobody, man. You know, I'm just you know, a lucky guy who, like, you know, who works really hard to conquer the dreams, you know. So I would like to thank God for all the opportunities He has gave me, for being who I am, and to have the opportunities, the family that I have, to be in what I have, to have what I have in life, you know. And I want to thank you guys, thank you, Jake, for the opportunity of having me here, and hope you come down to Miami, bro. I want to get you to meet my gym.
Sounds great. I can't wait. Congratulations once again on your success, Cyborg. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, Jake, take care, bro. Bye.
That was nice to hear from Cyborg, one of my favorite guys in the sport. Such a nice guy. So we're back, and with Ottavia Bourdain. Ottavia, AJ and I have a lot of questions for you. I love seeing people who, much like myself, got into jiu-jitsu at a little bit of a later age, and just get so hooked, and it really becomes a part of your lifestyle. They call it the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. Mm-hmm. What does the jiu-jitsu lifestyle mean to you?
Well, it's pretty much everything I do in life now. It's for jiu-jitsu. The way I eat, the way I take care of my body, the way I schedule everything, it revolves around jiu-jitsu. And I'm lucky enough that my daughter is also now a jiu-jitsu practitioner, so we spend a lot of time together. If we have seminars, she comes with me. If we have events, she comes with me. So, and you know, and if I can't do it, I feel sick. I really don't feel good. Like on Sundays when the academy is closed, I'm like, you know, everybody's like, well, no, but it's good for you today to have a day to rest. I'm like, no, it's not good.
Not for me.
No, it's like I have mats in my house with my lawyer grappling dummy. He never disappoints me. But yeah, and now it's a family affair. You know, my husband is into it too, so it's great. The jiu-jitsu family.
Of course, there's way more guys than women that do jiu-jitsu. Were you a tomboy growing up, or
I was a tomboy, so I don't know if that means anything, but I was.
And did your husband like it when you started jiu-jitsu, or did it bother him?
You know, he appreciate how serious I am about this and how I want to excel. And we both are really people who, when we set our goals, we do everything in our power to reach them. So I definitely appreciated that. The first time he saw me rolling around with a sweaty man, it was like a little taken aback, and he said, okay, I don't want to see you training, it's okay. But as I said, when he started doing jiu-jitsu, he really understood what's going on, and he's totally fine with it. Now he's very understanding and encouraging and supportive, so.
You told us a little bit about how you got started in jiu-jitsu, but you didn't quite finish. So you were doing Muay Thai, and then you started training jiu-jitsu at Renzo's place.
Yes, and I just started doing, at first it was 3 times a week, an hour a day, and then it was 5 times a week, and then it started meaning 2 hours every day, and it was just like
24/7.
More and more, because I would go and then I would learn something new, and I would go back home and think about it, and at the beginning I had so many lucid dreams about jiu-jitsu, and I would wake up, triangling my legs, and I would shrimp out of bed, and I hear like a lot of people when they start jiu-jitsu, it really takes over your entire mind, and it's so like intellectual, and you really get thinking about it. So I was like, oh, I have to go back. I need to do more. So
you start bowing before you walk into doors now.
Right. And it becomes really like natural for you hug somebody, and for a split second you want to jump guard on them. It's so strange. But so I just kept doing more, and then I started competing 6 months in, and it was very interesting how I was really, really, really nervous. And for me, it was kind of strange, because I've never been so nervous in any situation before. Like when I was in school in Italy, I was doing dentistry, and our exams would be, you would have to talk in front of a committee of 6 people, and I wasn't nervous. But, sorry, let me get some water. But for me,
she's getting her mouth dry because you're worried about competition.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting my mouth dry.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So, because when I start talking about it, I start thinking about the competition, and I was just like, I can see it, and I mentally see myself competing a lot, and I rehearse, what I'm planning on doing, and every time I do it, when I'm done, I realize that my palms are sweaty and I have the saliva in my mouth. It's really intense. But so for me, I was like, I can't believe I can't get a hold of my emotions while I'm competing. And I realized that you really need to train, the mental aspect. It's not just learning the technique. It's not just being strong, being fast, and having a great endurance. It's mentally. You really need to train yourself to compete. It's a different beast than just rolling at the academy. So that's why I try to do it more and more. And I really would like one day to step on the mats and be calm and do what I plan on doing, rather than do the opposite. This is the strategy. I'm always with my Professor Igor, and then I'm like, yes, I got it. Let's do it. And then I go and I do the opposite. Let's shoot. Yes, I'll shoot.
How did you feel like when you'd started jiu-jitsu, and then the decision that you had gotten to the point where you thought, I wanted to go do a competition now? How many?
It was just, I would see my teammate preparing for competition, and it was just so, it feels like there was this excitement in the air before competition, and everybody would get together, and the people who were not competing would help the people who were competing, and it was such a team effort, and I just wanted to be a part of it.
So after a big tournament is over, the weight cut is done, all the stress of the event is over, how do you celebrate?
I eat a jar of Nutella. And then I feel like I want to compete right away, again. Usually right before competition, I'm like, why do I do this to myself? I could be home watching TV and eating ice cream. But then as soon as I'm done, I'm like, okay,
it makes it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure.
it's like when I'm cutting weight and I have cotton mouth, and the next thing that I drink after I weigh in is just the most awesome thing in the world.
Yes, it's like Pedialyte. Yes, tastes so good.
It could be anything.
Yeah, true.
That's right. It makes a newfound appreciation for the food or drink after a tournament that you would never have if you didn't go to that extremes of not being able to do it.
And that's what I was talking to you about. It's just that whole, just embracing that as a whole, as being a part of what I'm doing. It just changes my whole thoughts on competition and allows me to be more at peace of my competition scene. You talked about your being more conscious of what you're eating. Did you feel that your eating before you started jiu-jitsu was not where it should have been? Or?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't.
Yeah? A lot of Nutella?
A lot of Nutella. Nutella, pasta, pizza. Now it definitely changed.
Very cool.
Super healthy.
So what would you say are your goals in jiu-jitsu?
Eventually, I would like to teach. I tried to assist teaching a couple of times. It's tough. It's like I know how to do it, but I don't quite know how to explain it to someone who has no idea what we're doing. And I assisted a class that my yoga instructor took for the first time, and it was hard. And but it's something I would like to do. Teach children, eventually, for sure. Yeah.
Great.
Teaching children is probably one of the most rewarding things for me as an athlete in the sport. Is when I see them not only just in the class and adapting things, is just seeing them take that and transform it and interpret it in their own way. It's just for me, it's one of the most rewarding things about the sport, and I think that's awesome that you want to in time start teaching and being a professor. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely, we need more women role models in the sport for sure. I think you are a great one already.
Oh, thank you. I was, for me, at the beginning, people started noticing me because of my husband. Obviously, they're like, oh, Anthony Bourdain's wife does jiu-jitsu. And it was a little embarrassing because I was a white belt, and there were women far more deserving than me, to be put in the spotlight. But so I was talking to one of our black belts, and I was like, oh my God, somebody wants to come and shoot something with me. I'm so embarrassed. We were making fun. You're like, the most famous white belt, but it was just like, it was totally embarrassing. But then he told me, you know what? It's actually good for jiu-jitsu. You just take it and use it to put jiu-jitsu out there. And since then, I was like, you know what? It's right. So I'm just gonna accept it, and I'm proud of it. So many times there are girls coming up to me and be like, I started jiu-jitsu because I saw you tweeting about it. You were writing your articles, and even at the academy, and so sometimes he jokes and he's like, we don't need a PR. We use you, because I always try to bring people in and
and that you have done a pretty good deal. You talked about being known as Anthony Bourdain's wife, but I think anybody who's watched you compete, you're starting to make a name for yourself as a competitor. Your last event was the Europeans, and I was there, watched you compete. You fought with a lot of passion and really drive. And how do you think that's kind of motivated you to want to compete again? And what's going to be your next competition?
I don't know. Besides, after tomorrow, I'm not sure. I might come back to Long Beach for is it Long Beach Open?
Long Beach for the Expo?
No. On the December.
December
Long
7th
Island
is the Long Beach Open.
Yeah, I might do that. There are the Europeans in Portugal. They just announced Paris Open. So I might do that as well. And we'll see. There are a lot of smaller tournaments. We have Grappler's Quest in New York December 7th. So I might do that too. We'll see.
Nice. You also are a very talented writer. I've enjoyed reading some of your writings on Fightland.com.
Thank you.
You're very talented. Have you done much writing before?
I used to write in Italian a lot, and it was, I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. I haven't really done it much. I went to school. I went to university in the U.S. and I was pretty good in English, but I never thought about writing, and And then they asked me, and I wrote something, and I thought it was a disaster. But some people were like, no, it's great. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
so
I enjoyed reading about your...
I just kept doing it. I talk about myself, which is my favorite subject. I'm kidding. So it's kind of easy. So.
Yeah, you wrote about your family trip to Tokyo. That was great.
Yeah.
And getting your husband into jiu-jitsu. Yeah, really entertaining reading. I encourage you guys to check it out, fightland.com. Okay, a couple things more to talk about before we head to the mats. First thing is new products. A new DVD just came out. Let's take a look. Okay, we're gonna go to promotions. We're gonna go to promotions first. If you or one of your friends got promoted recently, send your information to TWI-BJJ at BudoVideos.com. We'll be happy to give you a shout out. Brian Bowery just got promoted to black belt by Mike Wacker just a couple days ago. Congratulations, Brian.
Congrats.
Now let's talk about new product. So arguably, one of the things that jiu-jitsu guys have the most trouble with is the stand-up game. You know, jiu-jitsu is mostly on the ground, and we can learn a lot of things from judo guys. Jimmy Pedro is one of those guys. He recently came out with a DVD called The Takedown Blueprint. It's 3 DVDs of a bunch of moves custom tailored to jiu-jitsu guys. That means throws that don't expose your back, throws where you don't lose your balance like you can do in judo. It's a great set. I've checked out some of it. Really good things that jiu-jitsu guys can use for their stand-up. The third DVD, they teach strategies against 4 types of opponents. Wrestlers, the strong weightlifter, the guy who bends at the waist, which you don't see in judo. It's illegal in judo, but it's really tough to pull off judo throws on guys that are bent over like that, and the guard puller. So really interesting information. I think you'll like it. It's called The Takedown Blueprint, available on BudoVideos.com.
The purpose of this DVD is to introduce you to some of the practical moves in judo that will actually effectively work in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not just a judo player, but also a wrestler. We're basically taking our judo expertise and bringing it to the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a practical way. What you will get from this DVD set are practical judo moves that you can apply in a Jiu-Jitsu tournament. What you won't get is a bunch of fancy judo techniques that are going to have people mount your backs and get points scored against you.
Okay, let's take a look at viewer email. Each week we get a lot of mail from viewers around the world. Let's go to it. I started BJJ 2 years ago, and I'm a blue belt now. I love the art and want to commit my life to it. This sounds like you, Ottavia. Mm-hmm. How feasible is it to make a living in BJJ? So it's an interesting question there. AJ, you're basically making your living at Jiu-Jitsu. How easy is it?
It's very difficult. I think a lot of people, when they start Jiu-Jitsu, they want it to, just like this person wants to, Lewis wants to just have it overwhelm his life. And I think one of the things that needs to be known as you're up and coming in the ranks is that it's not going to be something that can fund you, through your white, blue, and purple, and even brown belt days. That's not until you become maybe an established professor or an established competitor where you have a good set of sponsors. And I think that the sport is growing a tremendous amount, but it's something that it's not like the NFL or the NBA or other sports where you can make a full living off of it, but it's growing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more ways now to make money in Jiu-Jitsu than there used to be. There's a lot of tournaments that pay. Some even pay a little bit for lower colored belts. That never used to be the case before. So, things are starting to change, but it's a long, tough road, isn't it?
It's a very long and tough road, and I think if it's easy to get discouraged, it's easy to get kind of look back and look down and say, it's not what I want to do anymore. But at the same time, it's easy to get very addicted and train 24/7 and want to do it your whole life. And I think if you find that balance, if you find what what drives you and what motivates you to keep going, and you can be able to do it. Our minds are amazing, and we learn to make things work when it doesn't really seem to be a way to have things work, and ends up working out for the best. So if you have dreams or desires to want to just take Jiu-Jitsu full time, embrace the grind. Do whatever it's going to take to survive. Maybe sometimes you'll be crashing on your friend's couch and you don't know, but it's a journey nonetheless.
Yeah. And it seems like something that we don't have a lot of control over. The bug bites you, and you got to do it. So before we go to the mats, we're going to go and show a couple techniques. But Ottavia, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
If people want to follow you and learn more about you, where can they find you?
On Twitter and Instagram at Ottavia Bourdain and fightland.com.
And AJ, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Where are you out there in the social world?
At the Florida Boy, Twitter and Facebook.
Okay, guys, we'll be right back on the mats with a couple cool techniques.